Welcome to Fragmental.
An amusing take on random topics. So,
So,
with college back in session, mostly back in session, and what have we got? OSU plays this weekend. Mike
Oh,
and I
yeah.
actually we talked about this before though. We talked about having we should talk about the college life, and going back and forth. We thought of, well, if we're gonna do this, we need both, two sides, like somebody's fresh out of college, kind of the newer experience, and then somebody like us that's been out of college for X number of years.
Right. Possibly longer than this person
has been alive, right?
Right.
So we are lucky enough to have probably our number one listener. My cousin will probably get pissed off at that, but I want to welcome to the show. Actually, we want to welcome to the show, Carrie. Welcome.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Honored to be here. Listen to probably 70% of the episodes, but glad I'm the number one listener given that. So
okay.
This is also my this is also my first podcast experience.
Well, hopefully.
It sounds great.
It does. It sounds great. It's almost like you're in your closet or something.
Oh, weird. I must just have great audio.
It does. No echo. Yeah, it's nice.
It's nice.
I kept saying this was either going to be like the beginning of my podcast career or the beginning and end abruptly, because I'm going to disappoint everybody.
Oh, you're not. Look, the two of us have been on this thing for we've got 35 episodes and nobody's disappointed. Well, I'm sure we've disappointed a lot of people now, but we're still
You're
going,
right.
So
we have 17 listeners. Yeah, we've disappointed no one.
Exactly. What was I gonna say? I fucking forgot. That's all the cocktails I've been drinking since 5. I was pre-gaming the show pretty hard today. So
we're aware.
You're what?
We're aware.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, just enjoy. So Mike and I graduated in that year. Carrie, you're what? 8 months out? 9 months out? Or a year out?
I am well over a year. May 2019, and it is October 2020.
Well, thanks for helping me with the math.
It didn't feel like I graduated that long ago. It was 05. Yeah, it was a long ass time ago, apparently.
05. Shit.
Okay, well, you got to remember, I was there. A lot of people were doctors by the end of my normal tenure, but
and you had a kid in there too, didn't you?
Well, that's what I was going to say. When you start making babies at 18, you're not necessarily on the 4-year plan any longer.
Wait, so you said 2005?
Yep.
So I was 9, and I was in 3rd grade.
Oh, there you go. Great. So I may or may not have taught you Spanish.
It depends. Okay, I don't even know where to take that. We mean Spanish?
Well, that's because it was part of a college thing. Our college Spanish class, we had to teach some of the local kids in Columbus, and so we did. We taught them the book Brown Bear, and in Spanish. And so I did my part for the community to those 3rd graders. Fairly confident they all took French after that. But
it's weird because I actually did take Spanish after school since about 1st grade. So it's actually a plausible story.
Wow. Do you remember a deep voiced young man with a child in his hands teaching Spanish?
Now that you mention it.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I carried my 4-year-old everywhere I went.
No, Mike would have remembered me because I actually got reprimanded in my after-school Spanish class in 2nd grade because I asked if, this is actually really messed up, but we had a couple Mexicans that worked for my mom because she worked on a farm, and me being young and ignorant, I asked if I could bring one of my Mexicans to school for show and tell in my after-school Spanish class, and
oh my god,
didn't go over very well. So that was about the end of my after-school Spanish career.
That that is the best story. Thanks for listening, and we're out because I don't think we can top that one.
Right. I don't know where to go from here, but wow.
Especially when I mean, for our listeners, your full name is Carrington. I mean, so it's kind of poshy as it is too. So can Carrington bring her Mexican to school for show and tell? Just sounds
Oh,
awesome.
God.
It's very Paris Hilton-esque
That's
to some degree.
Well,
leave
not a
it to
Paris
you
Hilton
guys to
fan,
bring
we
up
just
a
realized.
story that I haven't thought about in years that comes up on the podcast. And now I'm just gonna be
Now it's
Well, I'm yeah.
and within 5 minutes, so now I'm just gonna be like branded as that.
No, we're
for
just
sure.
over 5 minutes, so you're okay. It wasn't.
You're-
It was
I
within
knew
10
as
minutes.
soon as I said that, I looked and it said 5:30, and I knew you were gonna correct me on that.
I have to be exact. I'm so wrong most of the time. I need to be exact.
Yeah. Okay. So the name Carrington, like, should we say it in British? Like, I feel like I should write, like, now I want to write you a letter, dearest Carrington. I've
I
traveled
feel
a
like I
fortnight.
I feel like I should give the quick story on how it came about. Now that we're talking about it, which I've never told you
Your
guys.
name?
Yeah,
Oh, no, go ahead.
Carrington. So, well, I asked my parents at one point, and my mom claims they just pulled it out of a baby book and liked it, and it worked. And my dad, which I don't know if this is an important element, but my mom and dad are not together, so they have very different ways of thinking. But my dad still tells me to this day, I feel like it's not relevant, but it might be. My dad tells me to this day that they were watching Casper the Friendly Ghost and thought that Kerrigan was Carrington, named me that, and then realized later that they fucked it up.
Well, so this says a lot. So for them to mishear it that way, your dad was stoned as he watched Casper the Friendly Ghost, and I dig it. So,
I think, in all honesty, I think it's a cool name. I'm
Yeah.
kind of chuckling. We were talking about this earlier, or we started going down this path, and then we just said, "Fuck it, we need to get actually recording." I was watching Love Island this year, and I don't care if you watch Love Island, but they had a guy on there whose name was Carrington, so it's very universal.
Really?
Yeah, he was
Did
kind
they
of
call
a
him-
dick, though.
Did they call him
No,
Carrie
no.
with an E?
No. It was Carrington. It was all Carrington. All
Okay.
Carrington 24/7.
Okay.
I don't know how you call a
Interesting.
guy Carrie. Is there a Carrie guy? Is it Carrie? Kerry. I know I went to school with a Carrie. But
Well, Cary Grant, wasn't that Cary? Cary Grant?
Yeah, it's Cary Grant. It's no Carrington though.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's a very distinguished
I mean,
name. I like it.
It's yeah. So do I. I mean, like I said, we talk about how elitist I am, but I mean, Dave going to Switzerland sounds nothing like Carrington going to Switzerland. You know what I mean? That just makes sense.
It's-
Carrington
That is
needs to
true.
get to that level of income before that's a possibility.
Yeah. I didn't say I
Well,
had
not-
an income. I just said I went. So, and it was
Oh.
a youth hostel I stayed in.
Well, I mean, not all of us can gallivant around Sweden, so congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a skip over the border from Switzerland. So why can't you? Although when we were in France, now I'm going to get super fucking elitist right now. When we were in France, we were going to go to Switzerland. No, we were going to go to Germany. One of the two. It was right where we were in France was like where Germany and Switzerland come together. So we could have done both. So could have hit 3 countries.
Yeah, well,
Anyway.
I mean, only 2 of them are not dead to me, so I mean, whatever.
2 out of the 3. What did you say to me today? It's German. I'm like, well, at least it didn't make me get on a train. So,
Damn it.
well, you said good thing. So,
Well, I mean, I don't know how else to respond to that.
yeah, there's no comeback to that. So,
Thanks,
what
you
were we talking
hurtful
about?
fuck. You know. Yeah. So we were gonna we wanted to have Carrington on to let's have some fun college stories, right? I mean, it's been shit times with COVID, and now let's laugh a little bit. How about that? Isn't that where we want to go here?
Yep. So who starts?
So, yeah, how do we want to get into this, right? I mean, well, we talked about Ohio State football. So going to a football game, like when you were
Yeah,
in
there you
school.
go.
So yeah, Carrington, going to where you went to school at. How? I mean, what were football Saturdays like? Was it a big deal or was it Syracuse?
Hey, wait, stop. No, stop. Just, I'm going to pause there for a second. Because Carrie, you went to OSU, right? You went to OSU.
Yep. Yeah, I did.
Okay. So Mike went to Syracuse. I grew up in Syracuse. And when I was going to school, they were good. So fuck you, Mike. And it's not Syracuse. It's not like I'm going to Syracuse now.
Hey, and I can also add, I mean, I took a shot at it, but when I coached at Syracuse was the end of when they were still really good. So
yeah,
in your defense,
like
Dave,
so like, do you guys want to start then? Since I went to OSU, I feel like my story is probably gonna be, you know, I don't want to use the word superior, but
yeah,
you went to OSU, you're automatically gonna think you're superior.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
That is fair.
But I mean, I graduated from OSU. So, I mean, that happens when you start pumping babies out at 18. You may not finish in 4 years or in the same city.
Oh, you finished.
So,
just
yes, I definitely finished. Yes. So football Saturdays. So I was, well, I don't know, Dave, you want to go because I coach. So football Saturdays for me was a mixed bag. So there were, right when I first started, I didn't travel on the away games. So I guess I can start. I'm already there.
So you had to start. You just kept talking. So go ahead.
Yeah, Dave, do you want to start? So this is how we did
it. Dave, you want to start after I finish? That'd be great.
That also brings me to some good college stories. Kidding. Yeah. So on football Saturday when I wasn't coaching, it was a huge party, right? So I lived in a dorm that was 4 stories, and it was set up almost like not a boomerang, almost like a peace sign, if you will, like 3 corridors. So it was nice. We had a lot of I don't remember how many, maybe 30 some kids on a floor. On our floor, like I'll never forget. I've talked about my roommate, right? So quick story. Um, Within the first half hour of arriving on campus with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, there, he goes, "Hey, Mike, there's 26 girls and 4 guys on this floor. That's more than 4 girls that's 6 girls for every guy." And I'm like,
was this math right?
It was actually 6.5. But I mean, the point is, like, dude, my mom and girlfriend are here. Like, can you just can you give them 20 minutes? So there was that. Yeah, we had some good parties. So I think the go-to during football season was what we called around the world, and you would have a different shot or a different drink in every room. So usually, I don't know, by the time you got out of the first corridor, you were already stumbling. So that was pretty awesome. A lot of people passing out in the common area. Yeah.
This was like in the dorm?
Yeah, this was in our dorm. Yeah. Flint 3C. So all those that know
all those Syracuse alumni that are listening.
Right. All Syracuse listener, you know what's up.
That didn't probably go to SU.
Yeah, so our RAs on our floor were in the band. So they were always at the game. So we had kind of free reign, and it was, we all were there to have a good time. So, I mean, I remember I passed out on somebody's floor once. I had no idea who they were. I just remember waking up to them laughing and going, we don't even know your name. And I was like, "Oh, it's Mike, by the way." Excuse me.
Let me put some clothes on.
You're right. Like, we don't mind you being in here, but where are your pants? Well, little do you know, in 2 months I'm going to be a father. So.
They're at my girlfriend's house, apparently.
So yeah, I'll open with that. So yeah, that was football Saturday. We had a great time, and then I was also in a fraternity. So, a couple weeks in, those parties, kind of eventually stumbled over to the fraternity, which was a 3-story house of also a good time, we'll call And I wasn't a douche frat guy. So I mean, I didn't have enough hair, but I wasn't a douche frat guy. Like I didn't fist
Well,
bump and
So
stuff like that.
did you live in the fraternity house, or did you live like what was your how long did you live in a dorm for?
A year, because I became a father. So I was
Okay,
in a.
fair.
I went from dorm to family apartment. I didn't think my girlfriend was going to go for me living in a dorm, or actually in a frat house, because that babies do great in frat houses. So
only if there's a nursery.
so um yeah. So yeah. So somebody else take it from here.
So hang on a second. I got back up. Let's discuss Mike a little bit more. Um,
Yeah.
so you were in the dorm. You had
Yeah.
your child, as they say, and not as they say. You had a child, as they say.
Yeah.
You had a child.
I
What's
mean, yes,
what's an
that
acronym?
has
What's
been
that?
confirmed.
This has been neither confirmed nor denied. That you joined the frat, living in the family apartment.
No, so let's see. No, I mean, we joined the frat pretty early. So a guy on my floor, his brother was the vice president of Sigma Nu. So we went over there. Or I like to refer to it based on our pledge class as Sigma Jew, because there were four of us. So, but yeah, so we went over there and partied, and I think what sucked a lot of us in were like on one of the first few nights there were like five of us, and they were like, all right, well, there's like five of those guys, so we should just get a keg, right? And we're like, yep, I'm here. I like this place. You guys are fucking cool. Um, so yeah, I mean, so technically, I mean, we got roped in pretty early, and then right, I went through Hell Week and all that stuff, and except I was a little bit different because well, Carrington, you listen, I'm a bit of a hard ass. Um, so some of the stuff where they act like they're gonna beat your ass, I didn't really go for, and I pretty much said, go ahead and try to beat my ass. So um, so my Hell Week was a lot different than most. I wasn't, you weren't going to overly haze me. I got drunk because I was going to let me get drunk. Um, yeah, I was a real prick.
What happened? You're kind of less of a prick now, aren't you?
Am I?
I don't.
No, look,
I
I'm
don't see you as a prick. So you
no,
haven't been a prick
thanks.
to me.
Oh, thanks. I think I don't know that I was so much a prick. I've just always I am a man of principle, which I think you guys can agree that I am a man of principle. So yeah, I'll definitely stand by how I feel on certain things, and that was kind of my thing when the guy's whispering in your ear the stuff he's gonna do, and I'm like, I bet you won't.
But
So,
you should have said I bet you won't, but I'm kind of excited. So
you're right. Like I'm boned up right now, but I bet you won't. Yeah. So yeah, I mean the fraternity. I could definitely get us some good fraternity stories. We converted our basement into a club. So we had DJ booth, we had two bars. I mean, we probably had I don't know 200 plus people down there for a couple of our
Do you have
parties.
like an
So
elevated surface for people to get on? That was
oh,
popular when I was in college.
of
Yeah.
course, come on.
it
I mean,
elevated.
yeah,
Hang on, elevated surface. I'm not following this elevated surface line.
yeah.
I I
Carrie,
feel like
elaborate.
it's
Maybe
pretty
yours was
self
more elevated than ours.
No, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. It's anything raised from the ground, hence elevated. Um surface, something you can
Well, you don't
stand
have to
on.
be a sarcastic bitch about it. I'm just saying.
No, but it was like a thing. I was never in a sorority or anything, but frat parties were free booze, so we went and
And you're
it was
female, so
like
that helps.
Yeah,
well, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Get in free
right.
booze, free pregame to go to the bar later. But no, anything that was like raised, if it was a table, a stage, a oh god, I'm trying to think of others, but like anything that was considered an elevated surface, girls would just get on and like I want to say dance, but it was more of just like stand there and kind of move and look ridiculous. But um no, they were like a huge thing in all of our frat parties were like the elevated surfaces, and we would go to these ones that I guess I'll get into this probably in another topic, but we went to block on game days, which were like these big block parties at frat houses, and you would walk in the back parking lot, and there would just be like a couple random tables in the parking lot, and people would just stand on them and fill them and be doing nothing different than the people on the ground. But I don't
But
know,
why just
elevated
stand?
surfaces were a big thing.
Yeah, like the
Well,
elevated
I don't
surfaces
know.
in our frat typically induced massive amounts of grinding. So like there wasn't a lot of just standing around and like being the old man in a club where you're rocking back and forth. Like it was typically um, a few used condoms were going to be on the floor by the end of the night. I mean that
I feel
was
like grinding wasn't as much of a thing when I was in college. I mean, there was the occasional like super drunk people at a party, yes, but I don't know, it wasn't as much of a public thing. It was more just like I don't know, I feel like that closeness on the elevated surface still like was a thing, and you would I don't know. I don't know where to go with that, but it
yeah.
definitely just being up a foot or two off the ground on something made it different somehow.
All right, yeah. Hey, a party's a party, right? I
That's
mean, that
true.
was, yeah, and as a somebody who's a father of a girl in college now, I like to hear that grinding has reduced over the years, um, because I mean, right, I had a girlfriend, so I stayed pretty strict on that. But I remember I had a friend who was pretty religious until he went to a
A
party.
relig
We're
Oh.
like, we'd be
I
like,
thought you meant
dude,
pretty religious about grinding. I was like,
no,
"Oh."
no, well, yes,
Very. He was from the
yes.
Saint Grind of the Johnsonville Saint
With
Grinds.
every party, I was like, "All right."
No, I mean, yes, you are correct, but I mean, like during the like, when we would play football or whatever, like he would put Bible verses on whatever, and he was all
Oh,
about that, and he actually, he was tabbed for he grew up in Hawaii, so he was tabbed for an abstinence poster. I mean, that was the source of a lot of good jokes for us. But yeah,
wait,
so
wait,
it
wait,
was.
wait. He was on an abstinence poster.
Yeah, yeah. So we enjoyed that.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah,
awesome.
and that was also the source of so many jokes when, as he is full on, we're like, dude, I don't. You're blowing loads in your pants. There's no way you're not, dude. But we would, and we're sitting there cheering him on. Like, hey, he was on an abstinence poster with Hoku. Woo! I mean,
And
yeah, it
he's
was good,
grinding on
good
some chick.
times. Oh yeah, I mean it was pretty aggressive. I mean, yeah, it was
Wow.
pretty. There was I don't believe anybody would mistake it for dancing. I'm just yeah
It must have been that must have been the phase because when I was in college, grinding wasn't a big thing that I can remember. But I was probably drunk, so I don't really remember. But I don't think it was. I don't remember.
yeah. I mean, you thought you guys were boot scoot boogieing or whatever, like line dancing probably, and
Hey, fuck you in the line dancing. All right, that's. I mean, there are some country music that I do like, but it's not. No, I hate fucking line dancing. It's just. It's oh god. Why'd you have to bring that up?
because I
I
wanted
mean,
to hear how
half the
pissed you were gonna get, and you
exactly. There
delivered.
you go. I was gonna
You
start talking
delivered.
about like talking about music, but Carrie doesn't know half the music that we listen to. So, it
Actually,
would
yeah, we did
it
talk
would
about that. Ask her.
about what? Oh, about Foreigner and
Well,
what? What was I supposed to ask her?
well, she established she has no idea who Foreigner is,
Yeah,
or
or 38
Astroglide
Yep.
Special.
backstage. Um,
Astroglide backstage.
Yes, correct.
Steve
Well,
Perry.
actually,
Steve Perry.
Oh yeah. Steve, we're getting way off topic here, but Steve Perry. Do you know who Steve Perry is?
nope.
God
Oh
damn it!
God damn it!
See, that was
He's literally nicknamed the Voice. The guy is like he's the from Journey.
Goddamn
Ever heard of
voice.
Journey?
I know Journey. I did not know that
Just a
though.
small town. Just
Yeah,
a small
Just a
town.
small town boy, is that
Yeah.
what you're
Yeah,
I know
small town girl.
Journey. I didn't know his
Yes.
name.
That's the lead singer. Is Steve Perry.
Okay, well, I learned
See, look at
something
this.
today.
Not only is this show funny, it's educational.
That was actually like one of my biggest fears coming on this podcast was that most of the conversation would revolve around things that I was not alive for.
That's
So-
fucked up.
Yeah. So
That's fucked
do
up.
you,
Or
do
wait,
you still
let me
find
say
them
not
funny
alive
though?
for or not interested in. Could go either way.
Oh God.
Oh, damn it. So you just
Well,
killed
thanks
my
for
was it
listening.
funny?
We're yeah.
Oh man. All right. All right,
All
Carrington
right.
or Dave, give us a good college story.
One of the best college stories I have is I did 2 years at like a but it's a state school, so it was like a associate's degree, and then once I got that, I moved up and got my bachelor's degree from Lemoyne in Syracuse. And the school I went to was a small kind of the I don't know if you know this, but I think the SUNY system, which is the State University of New York, is one of the largest state colleges in the country. Um, but it's not obviously it's not like one location like OSU. Anyway, but the place I went to was like a more of an ag and tech type thing. It was close to my house, and whatever. And so we had a lot of they called them they were part of natural resource conservation. So basically, like the DEC guys and people that like work at parks and stuff like that. That's where a lot of country folk that would come in there. And there was one
And it,
guy. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I was gonna make some kind of joke,
You're
but
gonna
go
make a
ahead. Just
line
keep going.
dancing joke? Is that what you're gonna do, motherfucker?
No,
Make
no,
a line
no. I
dancing
mean,
joke?
it just sounds like the cream of the crop when it comes to partiers at college. But go ahead, Dave.
Did,
They
look,
probably
I
grew
will
great weed. Probably grew great
I,
weed. So, anyways, go ahead.
I will tell you some backward ass country fuck guys can party hard with some high end college kids. Let me just put it that way. These fucking guys have been drinking moonshine since they were like 6. So um they they can put it down. But actually 2 stories. We had like a party in the dorm room or some type of thing was going on in the dorm room. I think it was in my room drinking, and the fight broke out, and my roommate was there trying to kind of get it under control or do something, and he's got a guy, and I think he's getting like punched in the face, and out of the corner, and we were in the girls were on one side of this. I think it was 4 stories, 3 stories or 4 stories, but girls were on one side, guys were on another. So we kind of knew all the guys up and down the floors. And this dude from the 3rd floor, little short guy, um, just one of the kind of had like a Napoleon complex, was wanted to fight anybody just for the sake of fighting. And he sees my roommate kind of getting tangled with this guy. He comes running in at like full speed, pushes off of the table, like jumps up and like leaps off of the table in the middle of this room, and it just pummels and jumps on the guy and starts pummeling the shit out of him. Like he goes, my roommate goes, I
Did I
looked
lose
out
you
of the
guys?
corner of my eye, and
I can hear you. I
um,
can't hear Dave. Oh, there we go.
All right, we're
oh
back
yeah,
now. That was
it's a
weird.
little delayed. No, it's fine. We're recording locally, so it'll all work out in the end.
All right, go
When I
ahead.
dump
Keep
when I
going.
dump it in
Keep
the
going.
garage, man. Anyway, this dude jumps off the table. My roommate says all I see is him just flying through the air with his fist out, and he just punches the guy in the head. And the fight goes on, and it gets all broken up or whatever. So that was the one story. The other story is these same set of guys from the 3rd floor. They're in this fight, and the one dude, his name's Dilly. They call him Dill. It was not. I don't know if his name was Dilly, but they called him Dilly. And he's punching the guy in the face. He's got a guy by the shirt, and he's just punching the guy in the face. And his buddy turns around and goes, Dilly, Dilly. And he goes, what? And he goes, he's with us. And he's like, oh, sorry. And then move on to fight somebody else. But a lot of we used to go from where we used to go into Syracuse and then go to the bars up on the hill. So there's been a lot of nights at up on the hill. What's the Marshall Street? Up off of Marshall Street
Yeah. So
and
what, like Fagans
Fagan.
and
Yeah, we couldn't get into Fagans. They were a little bit more strict, but it was down the street from Fagans a little bit. I want to say, was it Bugsy's? There was a place. Was it Bugsy's? You remember Bugsy's? Was that still there?
yeah,
I don't
yeah, I
remember.
think
Bugsy
so.
used to.
So is
Yeah,
this like fake ID days?
yeah. This was definitely fake ID. This is like well, I mean, you're 19 and
Well,
Syracuse
it
or
was also a
New
lot
York was
easier back then.
21.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
also a lot
it was.
easier back then to get a fake ID, or like doorman. Like you didn't have to have a really good fake to get by. Like I think, well,
Yeah.
actually, there are doormen today who just don't give a shit. But yeah,
Yeah, the fake IDs were like laminated back then. You know what I mean? Licenses were like laminated, so you can get away with like
Yeah.
laminated fake IDs. But my roommate was a bouncer there, so he would just let us in anyway. So, yeah, there was some absolutely crazy nights. And the thing I hated was you could still smoke in bars, and you could come back. You come back. You wake up the next day, and everything was like stale beer and like stale smoke
Cigarettes.
and
Yeah.
cigarettes. And I mean, it's bad enough you puke the night before, and then you fucking repuke again just from that smell alone.
That's a wild
Ye-
concept to me, is like people smoking in a bar.
Oh yeah, I walked
oh
into a bar
yeah.
once. I walked into a bar once, and the power. It was one in my hometown. I don't know if I was still. I don't know if I was legal or not. I don't remember. Anyway, we walked in, and the power was out, and they had in the bars they have like those filters that kind of pull the smoke out and whatever. And they were off because the power was out, but they were still they were still serving beer, which is hysterical. But I walked in, and the bottom of the smoke was like 4 foot off the floor.
Oh yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, Gary, that used to be like legit. Like when they stopped, I don't know, I was probably in like late teens, early 20s when they stopped smoking here in Ohio. And like that's when you realized how much bowling alleys smelled like feet and ass. You're like, oh, like the smoke smell fucking hit it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Bowling alley, feet and ass. That's what I think of when I go to a bowling alley.
Yeah, that was such a
some
letdown.
feet and ass in there.
And I'm like, man, like this is where I met my wife. Wow. All right.
Thank God for the smoke.
Right.
The
Thank
smoke
God
smell
for the
master
chain
home.
smokers. All right, Carrie,
Yeah.
you give us a good story now. Besides leaning back and forth on tables and raised surfaces.
Yeah.
Besides
since grinding was
elevated
out.
surface. Okay, all right. Do you want? You're going for like funny college stories?
I mean,
Well, do you
I
have like a
prefer
sad
your
college story?
like I was gonna say, like
Okay.
I prefer you don't make us cry,
No,
but
so
yeah,
we
I mean,
were-
you do what's
Yeah.
you
All
could
right,
give
all right.
you could give a fun story, you could give a class story
No,
that was
we
fun,
were
whatever.
talking originally, to circle us back. We were talking about like game day stuff, and I said I'd
Oh,
go
yeah.
last,
Yeah.
but then
Yeah.
I also, you guys were like, "Oh yeah, that was our original topic that we started on."
The fucking name of the show is Fragmental, and you've listened to according to you, you've listened to 70%. This shouldn't shock
I know,
you.
but I'm not like that. But I'm like, I have like jotted down in my head. I'm like, this is where we started. But in the spirit of the show, I'll give a random funny story. So, I guess the one I'll give is that, and then we can maybe circle back to game days or something later, is that one of my like best and stupidest moments in all of probably my life, I was gonna say college history, but probably my life, is this one night that I was coming home from the bar with one of my roommates, and we were just completely like hammered, and I had been, if it gives any context, when we were at the bar, we had made friends with the guys that were like DJing the bar and had a microphone, and I had been given the microphone, and we were like up in their DJ booth with at the time we thought was like so sweet. And there's just, I don't even know how the DJing went. I don't want to know, but there's a video of like me with the microphone saying, like, it was the closing of the bar, and I was like, "Thanks for coming out tonight. I'll see you guys next week. Like, go Bucks," right? Like in this microphone into the entire bar of people at OSU. But after that, if that wasn't enough embarrassment, we walked like down the street around the corner. We were headed home, and we walked into this place that is on the street that my house was on, but I had never been in there before, and it's like a chicken place called Cluckadoodle Doo. Really, really quality place. But I had walked in, and like I don't know if I just wasn't reading the menu or what was going on, but it was me and my one roommate, and I was 21, she was not, but she had a fake. So we got into bars and everything the whole night, but then we walked into this place, and there was a couple cops in there, which I have no memory of, but she was well aware of. And so she was like, "I'm not trying to cause a scene, but like, you do whatever you want." And so I walked up to these people and they like asked me what I wanted, and my exact response that is quoted to me to this day was barbecue chicken, whatever you got. And they were like, all right. So they made me some kind of like chicken sandwich, and as I'm waiting for it, I look at my roommate and I'm like, all right, you wait on our sandwiches, I'm gonna go like take that. And there was this brown bag of what in the end of the day turned out to be frozen French fries that they had like put on a counter on the side to thaw. Um,
Oh,
And you ganked
but
it?
wait, so I was like, no, like you wait on our sandwiches. I got this. Like I was so owning the whole thing. And my roommate is like, there's literally 2 cops sitting right there. Like, don't steal something from this place. And I was like, no, 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 no. Like, you just worry about the sandwiches. Like, I got it. And so she gets our sandwiches and like walks out, and I take this bag of frozen fries, and these 2 cops watch me do it. But they literally look at my roommate and like shake their head. Like they don't even care. They're like, this girl just like needs to go home. Like this is not they're cops on OSU's campus. They're like, this is not our biggest concern right now. Like whatever. And so I walk out like so proud of myself, and I'm holding this giant brown bag of frozen French fries. And I'm convinced, I keep calling them chips because I thought like in my head at the time.
That's
Well,
very British for
I was gonna say
well,
with a name like Carrington, I am not surprised by that.
See,
Exactly.
it sounds like I was just like very cultured, but at the what actually happened, and I was just like drunk and confused and was convinced they were a giant bag of potato chips. And so I walk down, I like look at my roommate, and I'm like, I got this bag of chips. And she's like, yeah, like, okay. And then I rip it open on our walk home and start like eating them. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, these chips are horrible. Like, these are the worst chips I've ever had. And she's like, that's because they're frozen fries. And I was like, no, 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 no. Like, these chips are just bad. And I was so pissed the whole way. We get home and I think I actually did either left them on the counter or put them in our freezer. I don't even know, but I like stored them somehow. And then the next day we decided not to go out for obvious reasons with how our night went the night before. And the following night we had like a movie night in the living room, and I break these frozen fries out and like make them in the oven and like sear them up. And I'm like, guys, like look at all these fresh French fries I have, and they were
check out these chips.
equally horrible the next night. Yeah. So that's one of my favorites because it's definitely the most like just ridiculous state I've ever been in.
Yeah,
It's
I would
fun.
not have. I wouldn't have expected the thievery from you. That's way more of a me thing.
The other, yeah, well, that's all of it. I mean, I don't know how many signs I had in my dorm room because that was the thing. Look at the stop sign I have. There was a 9-car pileup because of you and your fucking stop sign. So, I was just thinking this too. Mike, I don't know about when I went to school, there was no cameras, there was no cell phones, there was no photographs, there was no nothing. And when you said that there's a video of me somewhere, I'm so fucking glad that I didn't have that.
Oh God, yeah.
My God.
Oh Jesus.
That's the downside of technology. I love technology, but that's the fuck. I'm so glad. I've gone beyond that to.
My college roommates and I literally have a shared album that's like, I think it's actually called Videos of Us Doing Dumb Shit, and it's like the most ridiculous clips from all of college, and every once in a while I go back in it and it's just like, it's insane.
So the link is
post the
www.
Yeah, is this on like
Carrie's
a Walgreens photo thing, or Carrie's dumb shit? Yeah, thank God. No, that's a good call, man. I'm really glad we don't have those videos to laugh at. I mean, I remember them all. They're like, dude, remember when you? Because like I say this all the time. Like my thing was typically to take my pants off and then jump off of something. So that's why I say my wiener would be all over the web if
nice.
if there were cell phone cameras back then. So thank God there's not.
Yeah. Your wiener got you in trouble enough as it is. That's
right.
It's videoed.
Right. I'd hate to have to answer for that. Like, Dad, was that you? No. That was some other.
I was watching America's Funniest Videos. Is that you in your wiener hanging out as you jump off of a porch?
Hey, it is when you jump high enough, it does smack. You know, when you hit the water. So it's You regret those in
Yikes.
that moment. As you're dropping, you're like, this is hilarious, smack, and then you get over it real quick, and you're like, I think my balls are in my chest. But I mean, other than that, it's a great time.
If you're, well, I think they'd even be more in your ass if anything else. But I was thinking of Bill. Every time we talk about tables and jumping off of shit, I think about Bill's Mafia or who are
Bill's
those
Mafia.
fucking guys. Yeah.
That's
Those guys
that's where I
jumping off
thought you
the
were going
buses.
with that. Like you guys were jumping off of tables and breaking other tables is where I thought you were going to go with that, Carrie.
I thought about it earlier, but that would be funny. Watch just picturing Carrie like jumping off of something and busting a table, doing the old flying elbow.
I did fall off of like a lofted bed once and cracked my ribs on it because I landed on a stool, like a little, the little like baby stools people have in their dorms. I landed like half on a stool and ended up cracking my ribs, and it was like freshman year at OSU, and I remember the Penn State game was the next day, and I literally I never went to the doctor, but I was convinced that I like fractured my ribs and I could barely move the whole next day and like didn't drink on game day. Yeah, it was bad.
Were you drunk when you fell on the stool, or did you just naturally fall out of the bed?
No.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay. Well, thank God for that.
Exactly. Thank God you were drunk.
No, but here's the thing: is I was super drunk, but like when you're super drunk and you get hurt and you have a clear memory of the exact moment you did it, like it hurt that bad. Yeah, like I don't remember that entire night. I don't remember how I got to that room, but I clearly remember hitting that stool. Like it was that. It was bad.
It was traumatizing.
And I woke up the next morning on my friend's floor, and I remember trying to sit up, and I just looked at her, and I was like, "Oh my God, like I can't move my whole body." And she's like, "Yeah, I mean, that'll happen."
When you fall on a stool from 6 feet.
Yeah.
I was hammered skiing once, and I don't know why I was going through trees.
Sounds like a great idea.
No, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. We used to drink Yukon Jack going up the lift, and it's all fucking sugar. And you by the end of the night, your lips are so fucking chapped, and they're just caked, and it was just awful. Anyway, I was skiing through the trees one, like doing like this run through the trees, and I caught my thumb on a tree because I had gloves instead of mittens. It wouldn't matter. It's my thumb, and I caught it on a tree and I bent it like way back, and I was like, and I go down to the ski patrol, and I can literally take my thumb and push it all the way to the palm of my palm,
man,
on the other side of my hand, because I super stretched the tendon, and I go to the ski patrol, and I'm like, I think I broke my thumb, and I'm reeking of alcohol. I mean, the ski patrol guy's like standing like 4 feet away from me because he's getting drunk just off of the fumes. And he's like, he like looks at it and he's like, no, I think you just stretched the tendon. It'll be fine. And I'm like, are you sure? And I'm like pushing my thumb all the way to the palm of my finger, all the way to the palm of my hand and back again. And I'm like, that doesn't seem normal to me. He's like, it's fine. You just stretched the tendon. I'm like,
he's like, no, okay. 80 proof. You're good. You're good. 80 proof.
80 proof. 100 proof. Fuck around with 80 proof.
Well, I mean, it just fit right there.
I'm trying to think of what else I did. That was the thumb thing. Oh, I fucked up my wrist because I was trying to jump over a chain link fence and caught my pants on the top of the chain link fence. It just dropped me straight down.
I did a similar thing, actually, but it was, kind of different. But I found out after the fact that I was hopping a chain link fence to see a puppy that was on the other side that somebody had.
Aww, a puppy.
But I have this scar on my wrist still to this day from that, and I didn't find out what it was from until the next day. But now we're like 3 years later, and I have this scar on my wrist, and not to get dark, but it looks like I used to like cut myself or something. And so when I started dating my boyfriend,
nice cover up on that one, Carrie.
It's okay. Well, no, it's so funny because like when I started dating my boyfriend, I would say like literally like 6 to 9 months in, I don't know what we were doing, but he finally like brought it up, and he's like, I never wanted to ask about it, but like, what is this scar on your wrist? And I was like, oh my God, no, like I was blacked out and hopped a fence to see a dog. Like, and it's this giant scar on my wrist, and it's horrible. But
so then it made sense all those times, like he had his arm around you and he was like, hey, you okay? You doing all right? You all right, kid?
He
all
was
right.
And
like,
you're like,
he approached
yeah.
it like so
Yeah.
delicately, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, you have no idea. But the
Yeah.
same night, while we're talking about college stories, the same night that happened, so between sophomore and junior year of college, I lived in a dorm for 2 years, and then I moved into my house like August move-in day, whatever, of junior year. So the summer between those 2 years, I had an internship in Columbus, so I needed somewhere to live, and I sublet an apartment. Subleased, I don't know the right term there, but
No,
I
sublet. You're
lived
right.
in
That's,
okay. I lived in this
Yeah.
apartment.
Is that right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that
Well,
right,
I
Mike?
didn't know if sublet. I didn't know
Yo,
which was like the leaser or the leasee in that situation.
No,
It's
in
lessor and
investment,
lessee.
yeah, in investment circles, sublet is where we usually go with that. So yeah, you're dead on.
All right.
With the proper rate of return, the sublet house.
right. We're gonna discuss the terms of this later, but go ahead with the story, please.
Hang on while I take my pants off.
Oh,
Well,
fucking
I
ROI.
lived in this apartment.
All right, sorry, Carrie, go ahead. You lived in this apartment.
I lived in this apartment for like 3 months or whatever that summer was, and then in August I moved into my house with all my roommates. And there was this one that night in October, I think it was like late September, October, but I was fully living in my house at that point. I went out with some of my roommates. The next morning, I wake up and I'm on the couch in this apartment. And I wake up and I look around and I'm like, I know this apartment. I know where I am. I'm like, I definitely don't live here anymore. Like, I moved out.
You went to your old apartment?
Wait, so that's what I thought. I'm like,
how did you get in?
Wait, so thank you. These were all of the questions rushing through my mind at like 6 a.m. when I woke up for some reason. And I'm looking around and I'm like, I definitely don't live here anymore. I'm on the couch. So clearly like my room isn't my room anymore. And I'm like, how did I get here? How did I get in? Like I was so confused. And I like look over to my left and I see this is going to sound really weird, but I see this rice cake with like, what was it? It was like a tomato basil rice cake that they made. And the girl that lived there like permanently, that was there while I lived there, always ate those. So I'm like, wait, like that was definitely a her thing. So I was trying to piece this together and I was like texting my one roommate. And what turned out, which I did kind of remember, is we saw our old roommate while we lived there at the bar that we were at that night, and her and I started hanging out, and like all my friends went home and I was still hanging out with like this old roommate of ours, and we went back to that apartment to like have a drink or something at the end of the night, and I ended up crashing on the couch. So like I was invited in a way like to stay there, which made me feel better. But it was so funny because I texted my one friend who had lived in that apartment with me in the morning, and I was like, I just woke up in the old apartment. She was like, what? And I was like, yeah, like I'm on the couch. Like, can you come get me? And she swung over with her car to like pick me up. And I did remember after the whole thing, like I did remember seeing that girl at the bar, but I had blacked out somewhere in between seeing her at the bar and like ending up at the old apartment. But
I would be concerned, like somebody like you got roofied to come back to the apartment or something.
Yeah.
That's what
like,
I
after
thought.
I saw her, I blacked out. Like that's a let's call the police fucking story.
Yeah, like
it was just it was
I don't
so
remember
funny,
anything,
but
and yeah,
it was the same night as the dog fence thing I was just talking about. And the next morning, like once I had pieces together, I texted the girl that lived there like all the time, and I was like, what is this cut on my wrist? And then she reminded me, and then you know how it all comes back like after you hear it. So I like pieced it together from there, but I still get shit to this day about like when I woke up in the apartment that I hadn't lived in for 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, this sounds very much like The Hangover. Like you have to, like, were there pictures and stuff? Like, did you have to piece it back together? Like, oh yeah, that's right.
Where's Doug?
Right, Erica was there.
My one roommate picked me up, and she took like a video from the driveway that just says like,
Goddamn
Carrie,
videos.
why did you wake up in our old apartment? And it's me like in the clothes I went out in the night before, and I was just like so confused why I was there.
Why do I have a medical bracelet on me, and where did this baby come from?
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say like you look to the left and there was some dude named Jake that's like, "Oh hey, how's it going?" You know,
No,
like
that's
just pouring
the
coffee.
funniest thing. It's like people have these
in his underwear. What?
people
Wait.
have these stories of like waking up with random dudes or something, and I was like, no, like I literally just woke up on the couch in the apartment that I used to live in by myself because I like was hanging out with my old roommate.
I've never
Man,
woken up with a random person.
yeah, I
I
didn't know
think
you
that's
were
a good
such a
sign.
blacker outer either. Like I'm
Yeah,
not a blacker outer.
I don't think I am.
Uh, no, I get smashed, but like I still remember everything. Like when I black out, it's because I passed out. You know, like oh, that's happened.
Yeah,
I mean, don't get me
yeah.
wrong, I've passed out on many a bathroom floor, but like,
Well,
dude,
this was like
I
three,
need a
4 years
nap.
ago. I can't say I black out now, but I was
Well, let's.
known for the occasional blackout in college.
Hey, I mean, I'm not hating on it.
You haven't pushed the limits yet. So I mean, you gotta. Yeah, you just don't push the limits like you used to. You gotta push the limits to see where that where that line
Yeah,
is.
yeah. I mean,
Although I'm
I
still concerned about
I
the
think
whole
I
roofing
crossed the
angle.
line several times in college, and I feel like I'm past that. Hopefully.
Oh,
I mean,
Carrie's becoming an adult.
oh,
Aw.
I am
I'd say
becoming an
welcome to the
adult.
show, but I'm immature as shit, so I can't say
I
welcome to the show.
yeah. I was gonna say most people think I'm 12. So
Oh
um
yeah, they're like you look like you're 50, but maturity of an 11-year-old. And I'm like, well, it averages out to
Thanks
about
for telling me I look like I'm 50. Appreciate that. It's better
right,
than
but it
like a
averages out to
60.
where I really am. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. When you do the math
right.
right.
That's what I get. They're like, you look great for 60. I'm like, man, fuck you, dude. I'm 38. You know?
Well, the median age of a no, I don't know.
But yeah, I never blacked out. Like the worst I ever got. So I used to rum and coke used to be my drink. You know, from like I don't know, like from 9 until like 19. Um,
Until
and
yesterday.
but I used to make my rum and cokes half and half. So like I remember, being in the fraternity and it was I don't know, it was a big cup. It was probably, 20, 32 ounce cup, whatever. And they were, I made my normal half and half and they were like, you won't beer bong that. And I was like, I won't. So I beer bonged it. And they're like, you won't do it again. I'm like, pussy, of course I will. So I did.
Yeah,
And
Mike and peer pressure don't go well together.
right. Yeah, I never said that when I was young that, I was the guy that would do some dumb shit on a dare. Like I can't deny that. Like typically I
This
had
is
enough.
after
Yeah.
talking about the whole fraternity rush peer pressure shit earlier. You were like, I didn't
Right,
really
but
like that wasn't really my thing.
right. Well, that's funny. That's how they could have got me. Instead of threatening me, they should have been like, I dare you to, drink a this out of somebody's sock, and I probably would have been like, you dare me? You know.
Yeah.
But instead, they're like,
Fuck
I'm
you,
gonna
dude. I can do that.
right. Instead, they're like, I'm gonna make you lick my ball sweat, and I'm like, I'd like to see you fucking try, you son of a bitch. Like. But if he would have dared me, I probably would have been like, well, no, I wouldn't. Fucking ball sweat now. But yeah,
Hey,
when
look,
I
that question, Mike, you don't know that because that question wasn't asked. You know what I mean? So
right, that's true. I was never dared.
you never dared.
But I'll never forget the pain I felt after beer bonging those two beers. So we're driving
Oh,
home, and I open the door, and they're like, "Oh my god, don't jump!" I'm like, "Fucking, I'm not gonna jump. I'm just not gonna puke in Jeremy's Jeep, man. Fuck." So we're driving, and I'm just all over the place. We get back up on the hill, the mount, we called it. So, Dave, you know what I'm talking about. You get
yeah.
up on the mount, and like I'm puking, looking over the ledge at the Carrier Dome, just Ralphing. And I get back into the dorm, and they're like,
By the way, first band in the Carrier Dome was Journey. So FYI,
"Were
Steve
they
Perry. Yes.
nice? Fuck yeah."
Wow,
Yeah.
full circle.
Yeah,
You gotta
brought
bring
it
it back.
back.
You gotta bring it back. Anyway, go ahead, Mike. You're puking
But
all
yeah,
over Carrier
so
Dome.
I get back to my room and everybody's like, dude, do you still got to puke? And I'm like, I don't even think there's any fucking left. And I woke, so I passed out and I woke up about 3 hours later. I have a very unique ability to pass out and within 2-3 hours wake up as if I never drank. I'm dead serious. This still exists today. I did this at a
Like
trade show
not
2 years ago.
hungover at all.
Well, back then I wasn't. I didn't experience a hangover until my late 20s. But I mean, look, I'm not trying to. It is what it is. I started drinking when I was 12. So
And
I
shortly
wish.
after rehab at 16.
But yeah, like, so I remember later. So I woke up, I was fine, and like a couple hours later, it was like a football game or whatever, and not a Q's game, but they were like, here, they gave me a hit of Bacardi Limon, and I puked it up right away. From that day on, I cannot drink rum. So Dave, remember you poured me your Kurt and Sweeney, and that was the
Yeah.
only rum I have drank in the last 17 years that I did not
Wow.
throw back up. No shit.
Right. That's what I was drinking tonight too. Was the Kirk and Sweeney. So
That's good stuff. But yeah,
it is.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. And again, everybody's like, "Do you even fucking remember almost jumping out of the Jeep?" I was like, "I didn't almost jump out of the Jeep." Like, stop being an asshole, dude. I didn't want to get it on Jeremy's nice interior. You guys are dicks,
That
you're
actually
still getting mad at it, and it's like 20 years ago.
still a
fucking
touchy
assholes.
subject. That actually
Why does it not
Yeah.
surprise me that Jeremy has a Jeep? It's
True.
like Bailey in her. It's like Bailey in her her Volkswagen convertible. I mean, it just fits.
Yeah, it was nice. But yeah, that was those were good days. I mean, I could party. I still can. I can throw down. I don't know that I can hang quite like I used to, but yeah, I mean, look, I'm a big fat ass, so it takes a lot to fill the tank. So yeah, I can still throw down. I've just, over time I've grown to actually think through things now. So like, instead now when people are like, "Bro, you just jump off this all the time?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but dude, there's not a lot of room for error, and I'm way fucking bigger than I was then."
When I do the math and the wind speed of an unladen swallow, it doesn't work.
Yeah, now I think through stuff, and they're like, "Bro, like you would have done anything." I'm like, "Yeah, I probably would have." But now look at that. I've got 4 fucking kids, man. Like,
How many parties are you at these days that people are saying that to you?
what was that? It cut out a little bit.
Yeah.
I said, how many parties are you at these days that people are saying that to you?
Yeah. Where are you at, Mike? Where people are asking you to,
People are like,
to
"Bro."
jump off of shit.
I mean, we've had we've still had, we'll still go to a party every once in a while, Halloween party or whatever, and now it's typically like jumping off their deck. They're like, "Hey, it's 3 fucking steps to do it." I'm like, "No, fuck you guys, man. I mean, what are you guys fucking doing? That's 3 steps. Jesus Christ, you guys are fucking animals."
I've just like the start. I pace myself way better. I mean, I'll still get fucked up, but it's like drink slow, like slow pacing it out there, so I'm not like fucking blottoed within like 45 minutes after getting wherever I'm getting to. But I had a horrible one. I think my last awful one, and this is actually on video because my fucking friends are dicks. It was an ugly sweater party up at I don't know what the fuck they call it. It used to be Donegan's. I don't know what they call it now, but it was I had to call. I drove up there, but I had to call Uber to get home. I mean, I had to go out in the parking lot and puke. It was just awful.
Nice.
But I do remember all of it. Yeah. And my other buddies like yelling at me, like, "Don't go out. It's snowing." I'm out there like just a sweater on. It's like 3 degrees outside. But I am from Syracuse, so it's like, oh, I could put shorts on. But yeah, it was awful. And I'm leaning up against a tree puking, and people are like pulling out of the parking lot as I'm like puking next to a tree. It's just
What's funny, and as you get
good thing
older,
I keep a
people
low
get way
profile.
and people get way more judgmental about it. So like when it's a college age kid, they're like, "They fucking lived it up. Am I right? Look at him." And then when they see you when you're older, they're like, "Get out of the road, you fucking bum."
Pull your goddamn life together.
Right. Get a goddamn job. And as you're puking,
you got kids at home.
And as you're puking, you're like, "The jacket's Columbia. It's a good fucking jacket, man."
Once I get some Ice Mountain in me, I'll be fine.
At what age does that transition happen?
You got a couple years left.
Yeah, you're still good.
Oh,
you
thanks.
still got.
Okay, good.
You
Just
got plenty of life. Yeah, you got plenty of life before people start judging it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're in your you're in your like early 20s, right? You got like a good 10 to 15 before this starts kicking in. Before that starts kicking in.
Yeah, you got to remember, my hair started receding when I was 19. So for me, like I was 24, and they were like, "Look at this 45-year-old bastard over here. Like you're never gonna have kids or a wife." And I'm like, "I've had them for 6 years." You know?
That's great. Yeah, unless you have kids right away. Well, that doesn't matter. Kids, I don't think matters. It's all in how you pace it. I mean, I know some people
No,
with like 2 or 3 kids that are. He's like, Jesus Christ, dude, you really need to settle down. You're in your fucking 40s now. Your kid's graduating high school.
well, I mean, it tamed me. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it definitely because like I wasn't one of those fathers that was just like, all right, I'm gonna go anywhere else. You raise the kid. Like I definitely wasn't one of those guys. So it was probably a good thing, you know, like because again, that was I'll never forget. Like, but yeah, I guess the story, right? I was studying for a bio final, and I got the call, and we had just hung up the phone. So I just closed the book, and I'm like, well, this doesn't fucking matter anymore. I'm gonna go get fucking stoned. And they're like, man, dude, you are going really hard tonight. And I'm like, oh no, man, just don't even worry about it. It's just having a rough day. But in my mind, I'm like, man, like I'm gonna have to grow up like now. Like after tonight, I'm a grown up. But tonight, I'm still as immature as ever.
2 days later, you're doing the same thing. Well, tomorrow, I'm starting tomorrow.
Well, it was the going away party when I'm like, guys, I really. Is this hash? Is this fucking hash? Jesus Christ. This is crazy. But no, seriously, guys, I got to get a real job in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, Carrie, you got some time. You're good.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? College.
Yeah. After that long-winded fucking drug and alcohol infused story of Mike's, you're okay for a while.
Yeah,
okay,
you're good.
All right, good.
Yeah, don't worry about
So,
it.
Not that I'm puking on the side of the street, but just wondering.
Yeah, you've grown up. You've grown past that, but you're still allowed. You probably have a solid 8 or 9 more gutter pukes before you'll be judged. So you're good.
Oh yeah, easy.
So yeah. I know we're kind of getting here, but I did want to ask you. So like, go ahead.
I was gonna say we've kind of hit on like we just did no kids versus no kids. You know what I mean? We've hit on several episodes here, so
yeah,
it's funny. And we've talked literally nothing about college, I think.
A little bit, but I was going to ask. So Carrie, like, did you guys have fun in class, or was it like super? Like, because you were in the age of cell phones where everybody's constantly on social media and everything else. Like, I had a blast in my classes. I mean, there were some asshole classes, but like for the most part, like I still had a damn good time. Like I was there, and like I think my professors liked me for it because everybody else was quiet, and they'd be like, "Who wants to guess this?" And I'm the guy that's like, "I'll speak Spanish," like, "Hey, me llamo Mike, Miguel, or whatever." And they're like, like, how were your classes like? Were they uptight?
I like that.
Did you guys have fun?
We've circled back to the Spanish thing. You guys really do bring it full circle.
Oh, for sure. I have some great.
How do you not know that? Being one of our top listeners, 70% of our catalog you've listened to.
I feel like
I made a lifelong
that planned out.
No, that's probably true.
I made a lifelong friend in my college Spanish class. He passed away a couple of years ago, but yeah, just from the blast we had. Yeah.
Wait,
yeah,
so
Dave,
what do you? Okay, so
do you mind queuing up Sarah McLachlan for me?
Dashboard Confessional.
So what do you?
Do you know who those people are, Carrie? Dashboard Confessional.
I do know who Dashboard Confessional is actually.
Sarah McLachlan.
There we go.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Did you attend Lilith Fair? Have you attended the Lilith Fair?
I can't say I know what that is.
You're good. We're disappointed, but you're good. I don't think so.
Oh, God damn it. Never mind.
All right, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, define like fun in classes. My answer's probably gonna be no, regardless. But
no, that's okay. Like, so right, because when I was in college, like people were starting to get phones more, but social media was nothing, right? Like MySpace was probably just starting, which I don't social media, so I don't have any of that stuff anyway. But so like you actually still wrote stuff down, wrote notes. Still had to talk to each other in class. Like that's one thing, like, the younger generations coming up don't have some of those people skills that I think we had to have at a younger age. So that's where I'm going with that. Like, did you guys communicate a lot in class? Did you
Mm.
like, or was just everything uptight? You were on your phone mostly. You took your notes on your iPad, and you guys did what you had to do, and that was it.
Yeah, I feel like I would say like kind of the latter because everybody like had their laptop out honestly for the most part, and like people would pretend they were taking notes but they were texting and doing whatever because you can get your iMessages on your laptop now. Um or there was the occasional professor who like made people put their all their technology away, which was like horrifying. But I would say, yeah, no, I would say like people kind of did their own thing, and there was the occasional class that they made you interact in some way or another, whether it was like group things you had to work on or discussions or whatever, and you would maybe make friends from that, but like honestly it was weird cuz like your classes, it's like you might know somebody from a class but you wouldn't really consider them a friend, and like you talk to them occasionally, and I feel like you were kind of in a silo. Depending though on kind of what you were in, because I was in an honors program in college where we took like four of our core classes together. And in those situations, like we were all kind of like friends sort of already and liked working together, and we would mess around in class, and like those I have fond memories from. But as far as like random people in my classes, it was yeah, it was kind of
Man,
everyone sort of did their own thing, took their own notes, and like somebody would this is going to sound so weird, but like somebody would follow you on social media like 3 weeks after the end of the semester, and you'd be like, "Oh, that's this guy in my that was in my finance class." Like weird. And
yeah,
it
that's what I
was
would have thought. Like, oh,
just
that's weird that he fucking cyberstalked me, but whatever. Follow back.
Yeah.
yeah. I have this
He
guy that
looks cool.
added
He looks cool.
this guy that like was in one of my like pre-assigned groups for some project, like followed me on all my social media like a few weeks ago, and he was in my group like this had to be like a year and a half ago at this point, and I was like sitting here and I was like, who is this guy? I was like, I know his name, it sounds familiar. I have no idea who this guy is. And like, I don't know how I finally pieced it together, but I was like, oh my God, like he was I like sat next to him in this class like a year and a half ago, and he just followed me on social media. And like,
Man,
that was the big thing. Like, oh, if somebody in your class followed you on Instagram, like, oh, they were interested kind of thing. Like, it was just so, I don't know.
oh,
It
he was
didn't
damn
seem as
interested.
weird when I was
Very
when I
interested.
was in there, but now talking like reflecting back on it, like the whole interaction thing was just weird. But I feel like that's
So,
everything today, kind of.
oh god, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
what's your Instagram again? I'm just no. I'm kidding. That is funny. Mike,
How about
you
you,
talk about not
Daniel?
doing social media, but you manage the Twitter, you Fragmental Twitter account, doing a fine job at it.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. I don't know that I'd say I'm good at it, but you know what? I
Yeah,
can. You know, what do they call it? I'm a replier or whatever. But like,
yeah.
I can take somebody else's joke and make it better for them. You know, I mean, that's kind of what I do.
He's here to help you, is what it is. So,
They're like,
what
"Who's
were you
this
gonna say?
fucking guy who made my joke funny?" Gee, like, who the fuck is this guy? No, I was gonna
Let's
say about
follow him.
how about you in college, man? Like,
Um, I mean, I was before all of the kind of the
yeah,
technology piece of it. But the best story I have, I was in an accounting class, and the professor was this little short Italian dude, awesome, like super strict and just like not mean, but just strict. And he was like going around the room. It was a small class. It's like going around the room for answers for I don't know whatever we're working on for accounting, which I hated. And he goes, what's the answer to that? And I go, I don't know, I didn't do my homework. And he just looks, he had like the half glasses on with him, like, and he pulls him down a little bit, and he goes, well, I hear they're taking applications at McDonald's, so you should be fine. And I was like, damn, I just busted out laughing. That was but it was you guys didn't laugh at it.
I
It was
did.
funny.
No,
I
I
had a good
did.
time.
I get it. I figured you would have said something like, "Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
not what your wife said." So, all right, we're good.
Exactly. Don't you have spaghetti to go home and make or something?
Right, right. Tell Jenna I like Parmesan cheese added. Thanks.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I.
Sorry there,
I mean, I had a
Antonio.
great time in school. Like, I mean, you guys know me well enough to know I'm an extrovert. So the way I looked at it was, look, this is stuffy and
What?
this is stuffy enough. I need to make I'm gonna make this worth my while. And you know what? Like, I think it made other people's day a little bit because I remember like we'd get into a group and you just see the anxiety of people when they're like, all right, you guys are gonna have to present as a group, and you just see people like, just cold sweating. I'm like, you guys, we're good. As long as you read this, I will deliver something that's so good, we'll at least get a B plus. And they're like, all right, fucking fine, And so I mean, I was goofy. I had a good time. I really didn't give a shit what people thought. I'm like, look, I'm already in the corporate world. I already have a kid. I'm engaged. Like anything you say is gonna fucking bother me. So I had a great time. And you know what? I think like other people eventually flock to it, because we didn't have social media. But yeah, people would come up to me, if we were at wherever at a Chipotle or whatever, or even a graduation, people were coming up like, dude, we had such a blast in Spanish class. And I'm like, yeah, what was your name?
Oh, you're
not
that fucking guy. You're
not
that
not
guy. Like, oh, what
no,
was your name again?
so this is actually something I really struggle with, people's names. I am great. Like I will remember a face forever though. So it's like I'll see somebody, I'm like, weren't you in the Denver airport in like '03? And they're like, what? Like, what? But then, it'll be somebody who I've been coaching lacrosse for 3 years. And they're like, hey, Coach Mike. And I'm like, hey, give me up top. Like,
Guy.
it seriously is a deficiency of some type. But yeah, I'm terrible with names.
Hey, weren't you in the Denver airport in 03? Can I follow your Instagram?
Right. That's actually what it is. I follow them on Instagram, and they're like, how do you know me? And I'm like, yeah, Denver. Don't you remember? And they're like, what? Denver? Like, yeah, we stood beside each other at the urinal. Come on, you remember. I know you remember. Yeah, it makes no sense, but it is a weird thing.
Dude, I had a guy do that to me the other day.
Really?
When we were traveling. Like it's COVID. Like it's 6 foot apart, and I'm in the bathroom, and he stands right fucking next to me.
Oh, that's
I'm like,
weird. Yeah.
Where's your 6? That was really weird. And he wasn't wearing a mask, motherfucker.
God. He was
West Virginia.
He was wiener.
God damn
he was
it.
wiener
Fuck
watching, no
Virginia.
doubt about it. But no, like I said, man, I made.
Carrie's like,
no, I was
what the fuck?
I was gonna say,
how do
isn't
we
there
go
a
there?
rule like COVID or not that if you're in a men's bathroom, like you do not
Yeah.
choose the like
Yep.
even I know that.
Yeah, it's an unspoken rule for sure.
Yeah. See, if you were in the men's bathroom, you would have went down
I
one
would have
urinal.
for sure.
Definitely.
Right. It's at the urinal at the movie theater. Like if you go with 3 buddies, you take up 6 seats because right, like I'm not yeah, we're going to spread out a little bit. And yeah, that's etiquette is what it is. Except except for my son, he'll just walk up wherever and pull his pants down to his ankles. He's 6. But
he's proven a point.
It's one of my favorite stories is he's going and a guy farted at the stall and Carlisle's just like and the guy just gave a little chuckle. He's like and I'm like, hey, what are you gonna do, man? He's 6. Just doesn't give a shit, man. Like that's those. You know what? Maybe I think they don't give a shit because I stopped giving a shit when I was like 13. Like I was actually, believe it or not, I was a shy kid. So I think I was in 8th grade and I decided like, you know what? Like I'm gonna stop caring so much, and I actually had a lot more fun and made a lot more friends.
Wow.
Or you cut yourself like Carrie.
Yeah. That's what it. Well, I did that, but only as a conversation starter.
Maybe that cut, Carrie, is like you were like you got roofied and you were fighting a like dude that you saw in the apartment and you got cut with a knife.
You gotta
make
make an awesome story about that. Like, I fell off a fence chasing a dog. Like, what happened? You'd be like, I woke up and this guy named Jake is standing there pouring goddamn coffee in my apartment. You think I was going for that? Fuck no, I wasn't. So
yeah.
He grabbed a knife.
That's
I
a good
blocked
point.
it.
I have yet to make up a story about it, but you're right, because apparently it's gonna be on me for the rest of my life because it hasn't disappeared in like 3 years. So, got to come up with something.
Yeah, it's there.
My wife, when my wife was in college, she was walking. She went to the University of Chicago, and she was walking, and she had just bought all of her books. So she had a book bag full, and books are
Oh
fucking
yeah.
insane, and still are. And they a guy tried to mug her, and he pulled out he was gonna, I don't know if he's gonna stab her or something, and she put her arm up to like block it, and the guy knifed her in the wrist, or like your wrist forearm, and she has long nails, and she grabbed his head and fucking jammed her thumb right into like the
Oh
dude's
my
eye,
god.
and that's what got him off. But they kind of ran away or whatever. But she went into like she was near the fire department, one of the firehouses, and I think and Mike, my
Yeah.
wife, and Carrie, I don't think you've ever met my wife, but like she's like overtly friendly. So I'm sure walking back and forth by the front of the fire department, she had a ton of friends in the fire department, and she walked in there, and they're like, "Hey, what?" And she had this cut, so they kind of like got her sewed up or got her touched up, and went to took her to the emergency room or whatever. But she still to this day still has that scar. It's not as big, but she still has a scar where the guy stabbed her. See, that's the kind of story
Yeah.
you need,
Well,
Carrie.
that's
So, like,
way
yeah,
more like
I woke
legit
up
and intense than mine. So I'll have to work on it.
then your fucking your puppy
Yeah.
story. Your
Yeah. What I mean, what kind of
drunk
puppy
fence
was it?
puppy story.
I mean, was it?
I,
Yeah.
I
Like,
don't
was
let's
know.
do
it?
that.
Did you
It's not a
miss the
corgi,
part
is
of the
it?
story that I was blacked out? I have no idea what kind of puppy it was.
Yes, we've blacked out your blackout story. So
Yeah, I'm not a details guy. So, anyways, this you said it was a mini husky. So elaborate.
Was there a fence involved? I can't recollect if there was a fence involved or not. I'm not a details guy. That's awesome. Anyway, we're at minute 16.
Minute 16. Wow, we really got a lot of shit in here. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. No, so we're at a minute 16 coming up, so we can wrap this up. But thank you, Carrie, for being on. You're more than welcome to come back to continue the conversation, or a different conversation, whatever you feel like talking about.
Do I have to suggest the topic every time?
Tell, we talk.
That's typically our goal. It doesn't have to be, but
yeah,
that's what we like. Yeah,
but I don't think
Yes.
Did you bring the
topic?
I thought we kind of started
no. Okay, you're right. You're right.
I don't think so.
You guys brought it up. I forget what you guys were talking about or which episode it was, but you had mentioned like we should talk about like college, and I had followed up with you and said it was a good idea, and that escalated into well, here we are.
So
tonight, yeah.
So
the funny story.
I was going to say, so we should wait for like Fragmental 62 will be like about haberdashery or something like that. Like, is that?
Carrie starts a hat company. Is that where you're going with the haberdashery? Sure. Carrington hats.
I mean, I feel like it should be like one of the
Carrington haberdashery.
Does that not, awesome. Man? Does that not sound official? No joke.
It does sound official. Carrington.
I feel like you guys have given me like 3 different business ideas in this hour.
London Bridge and Thames Road.
You know what? I mean, like millennials name stuff that has nothing to do with their business. So you should open a restaurant named Carrington Haberdashery.
Yeah, except then I'd have to cook,
serve all the food in hats.
Completely against everything that.
No, we've established that you are a fine stealer of chips.
Yeah,
you're a fine stealer of chips from a restaurant. You throw it in a fryer. There you go. You're good to go.
Okay.
There you go. And you serve them in hats.
All right, I could get behind that.
French fries go in chapeaus. Chips go in a bowler, British bowler hat.
Serve some Smittix. There you go.
Fuck that, man. That's our idea. Fuck that.
You guys can have the name if you want to open one. You seem way more into it than I am.
Yeah, because opening restaurants right now is such a fucking great idea. Yeah, I got like a $200,000 open this restaurant. I might as well just flush the fucking thing down the toilet.
Right. Oh, how are you doing? I have 15. Like 15,000 a day? No. 15 people all goddamn month.
Yeah, and they all got
Right.
water.
They got water and chips. Luckily, I stole the bag. But anyways,
Like, there. That's bringing it back right there, motherfucker. That's a good circle. See, this is where we get funny at the end when we're not really concentrating on trying to think of stuff. We're just
you know what?
rolling.
I think it was a good episode, though. It does not feel
So-
like we've been going for an hour 20.
Yeah. Yeah, it does not. Absolutely not. So, anyway, we'll wrap this up. Thanks, Carrie, again. Thanks, Mike. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify. I think that's all of them. We have the website,
Fragmental.co.
Mike,
Yeah.
Twitter. Mike's running Twitter, so
at
say something to Mike.
Fragmental Co. And then, thank you, Carrie.
Yeah.
Do you want?
Carrie, do you follow us on Twitter?
Way to put me on the spot. I don't think I do, but I will.
I was gonna say the answer is no. But
Yeah.
no.
It's when you lead with "Thanks for putting me on the spot," we're like, "Fuck."
Well,
She
now
didn't
that
do
I'm
it.
embarrassed about it,
You
yeah,
guys
I
don't-
will.
Don't act like you plug your social media in every episode, because if you did, I probably would have fallen.
We do plug our media
don't-
social effort too.
What was that?
We
This
do.
is literally. This
You
is
don't listen to
literally
the
our
end.
scripted close. The
You don't
only
listen to the
thing we
end.
script is our close.
I just followed it.
Oh man, that's awful. Like, I listen to your podcast, just not all the way through to the end when you're plugging your fucking
I don't
social
think
media.
you're that consistent with it. I don't believe you.
All right.
Well, I don't.
Or
think
you're
right.
not
I
in-
think you.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
actually,
cutting that.
never mind.
I'm cutting that 70% down to like 30.
You obviously you have a strike zone that you listen within and cut it off at the end of that, and that's fine. I mean, it's,
Yeah, this one's a
All
little
right, all right.
outside.
I
outside
followed the
plate, so
Twitter
I'm not gonna
account.
listen.
all right.
Okay. What about our Instagram account?
You have an Instagram account too?
No, but it's just gonna see if you're.
I was really curious. I was like
Although I
opening
was-
my Instagram. I was really curious what content was posted on there.
We should. I was asked my wife asked me the other day if we had an I think it was my wife. Somebody asked me. It was a female voice. I remember. It was my wife. She just waved at me.
It was a female voice.
It was a female voice. If we had an Instagram account, and I'm like, I don't know what we put on Instagram. It would probably get us whatever we would put on Instagram
Well,
would get us.
plus I
banned.
That's
think
probably
like we're
true.
not. We don't go with pictures of ourselves. Like we're typically like that's funny content. That's
Yeah.
funny content. I'd rather not. I mean, if I had an
Right.
Instagram of me, like I don't even think my mom would follow it.
It would have to be like memes.
Yeah, which is
It
which
would
is
be all
basically what
memes.
our Twitter is:
Yeah.
memes and funny one-liners.
Yeah. Well, if it's like the podcast. Actually, my wife said she was. You're Mike. You're like this, and Carrie, you're like this too. You're in analytics. She's gonna listen. She was as we were driving back from Hilton Head last week. She goes, "I'm gonna sit down and listen to all of your podcasts and count and like graph or make a whatever what do you call it like like Tableau or
Like a
whatever
linear regression.
of all the yeah like, no like the number of fucks you say, how many times you talk about porn, how many times you talk about football and golf, and she goes, then I'll do like a graph or whatever of like all of the stuff you guys speak about. So it will align with their Twitter account, because it's like, well, our Twitter account's more of, I can't really make fun of like middle-aged people from Ohio, women from Ohio, but that's a good portion of
Listener
our
or not listener base, our
good portion of
Twitter base.
account.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening.
Yeah, that's the only reason I
That's
do
Twitter
this
base,
stuff
yeah.
is to be like, I want somebody to be like, that was funny. I'm gonna listen to their podcast. Instead, they're like, that was funny. I'm gonna like it, not even follow it. And then I'm like, damn, that was fucking pointless. Like I'm not here just to make you
No, I
laugh.
gotta-
You're supposed to listen to the podcast and laugh at a lot of things.
I just jumped over to Fragmental to check out our new follower. Hang on. 136.
Bam.
Mike.
You're welcome.
You know it. Thank you.
Oh, the Ron Swanson quote on the Carrie.
All right, let's
Twitter.
not dive into
like
my
it.
Twitter account on the podcast.
too late.
Oh my God! Did you see who
So
she's fucking?
we're
No, I'm
gonna.
kidding.
You fucked that guy, really? No. That's awful. I'm sorry.
No, that was funny.
Wait, what, are you actually on my Twitter? Because I feel like the first tweet would be appreciated. No, okay.
No, I'm not. But I must have hit I must have hit something close by for you to like. Oh my God, you're on my Twitter account. No. Anyway, all right. Let's wrap this fucking thing up. We've been talking way too long.
All right. Well, on that note, slide out like Dave's about to. We're gonna slide out of here like it's about to happen to Dave. Thanks a lot, and
yeah, that's funny. I'm chuckling. That was a good one. Anyway, all right, guys.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you both.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Carrie.
Thanks, Carrie. All right. Take care.
Bye.